Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be looking at two smartwatches, comparing them. It's these two, the Amazfit Verge and the Amazfit GTR. Now these are probably the two most popular Amazfit smartwatches out right now. They're certainly two of the best Amazfit smartwatches out right now in terms of specifications, in terms of design. They're the two most modern ones, and we're going to take a look at them both, see what the difference is, see which one you should buy, because there are some pretty big differences between them. So if you are looking at both of these smartwatches for a new smartwatch, then you may be wondering which one you should get. So let's get started. So let's just quickly take a look at the specs of both of these smartwatches just individually, then we can kind of compare them and see what they're like really to use in reality. So let's start with the Amazfit Verge, because that is the older device and it's the one I've had the longest. The Amazfit Verge has a 1.3-inch AMOLED display. It's got a resolution of 360 by 360. It has 512 megabytes of RAM and 4 gigabytes of internal memory. As for sensors, it has a heart rate sensor, an accelerometer, a gyroscope, a barometer, geomagnetic sensor, which is basically a compass, and a few other sensors just meant for like wearing detection or, detecting when you're moving, that kind of thing. So it can basically track anything from your sleep quality, your heart rate, steps, calories, that kind of stuff. A pretty standard sports tracking watch. It has about half a dozen sports tracking features built into the watch, so you can select a sport, choose it to track it, and it will track everything from your heart rate to how well you're moving, how much you move. It will use the GPS to track your runs, to track your walks, that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of sports tracking smartwatch features there. It has a 280 mAh battery, which will last around about 5 days, depending on how you use it. Now onto the Amazfit GTR, which is a slightly newer smartwatch, and it's also slightly bigger. In fact, there are two versions of this smartwatch, a bigger one and a smaller one. I have the largest version, which I think is probably the best one to get because it has the most features. It features a 1.39-inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 454 by 454 pixels. It features 16 megabytes of RAM and only 64 megabytes of internal memory. It also features Bluetooth GPS, a heart rate monitor, accelerometer, gyroscope, and a wearing detection sensor. So expect the same kind of tracking features on both watches. And it features a battery life that will last around about 10 to 20 days, depending on how you use it, depending on what battery saving features you use. So those are the basic specs of both of these watches. They do sound kind of similar, and they are quite similar really, but there are some very big differences if we take a closer look. Well, let's take a look at the design of both watches first, because there are some big differences. So as we can see, both of these watches feature a round AMOLED screen. So in that respect, they are very similar. The screen type is the same. The screen resolution is not hugely different. They're both very clear. Both have excellent touch screens, but you can see there is a difference in the actual design. The Verge has a plastic body and it is quite thick. It features this kind of grey plastic with a single red manual control, and the rest is a touch screen. And you can see a little speaker here. This little dot is a speaker. And apart from that, it's, I would say, quite not cheap looking, but it doesn't use premium materials. It uses plastic, and that kind of does affect the overall look of the watch. So the actual design of the Verge is fairly basic. It's not really designed to be a classic looking watch. The screen looks good, but the body I think isn't the greatest. It's not the most attractive color or design or style or material. Now, if you look at the Amazfit GTR, I think they have Amazfit have chosen to improve the quality of the body itself. It uses ceramic or metallic materials. It's a very premium. It looks much more expensive than it actually is. It definitely seems to mirror the classic design of a classic watch, and it also comes with this fake kind of leather strap. This is not something that I bought. It's something that came with the watch itself, and it is a lot more premium looking than a basic plastic strap, which is what most cheaper smartwatches come with. Just compare them side by side. I think you'll agree that the GTR is definitely the better looking, and it features these two kind of manual controls here, which look again like a classic design watch. If I was going to choose purely based on looks, I would go for the GTR because it does just look better. So yes, while the GTR I think does win in terms of design, in terms of appearance, which is pretty important because you're going to be wearing it on your wrist all the time, but in many other respects, the Verge is the more superior device, mostly because it has more features and it has more memory. The Verge features a speaker and a microphone, so that means you can use it as a phone. If it's connected to your mobile phone, it will be able to take and receive calls directly from the watch. So in that respect, it is more of a fully fledged smartwatch than the GTR, which does not feature either of those features. It does not have a speaker or a microphone. You can't use it as a replacement for your phone in that way, and it doesn't make any noise. It doesn't alert you to anything. Now, the GTR will alert you when you have a message. It will, if it's connected to your phone, it will alert you when you have a WhatsApp, if someone's calling you, if someone is messaging you on any kind of app you choose to connect it to. But it will only do that via just a display on the screen. It will show you the message. It will vibrate. You can have an alarm which vibrates, but it won't make any noise. Now, the other major difference between these two watches is the memory that's inside them both, because the Amazfit Verge has a lot more, not only RAM, but also storage memory. So the Verge has 512 megabytes of RAM, which is quite a lot for a small smartwatch, and you can see that makes it very responsive, very quick to the touch, very easy to use, and yeah, there's no issues with lag or anything like that. And also the storage, so you've got 4 gigabytes of internal memory for storage. You can put your own music on there, you can put your own files on there. You don't need to rely on streaming or anything like that. Now, the GTR does not have much memory at all. In fact, it only has 16 megabytes of RAM, which is really not very much. It's enough to run a basic operating system on a watch, which is fine, but I think, as you can see here, it's slightly more clunky compared to the Verge. I don't know if it's just me, but I just find it's less smooth to scroll. It's kind of a little bit laggy. Also, there is basically no storage for any files of your own. It only has enough storage to store the operating system, so you can't put your own music on there. However, you can connect it to Spotify on your phone and control your music via that wirelessly. So do you really need to put your own files on the device now in 2019? Most people use streaming services, and it's probably not going to be a problem. So in a nutshell, guys, that's basically it. The Verge has more features. It is the more advanced device. It is the better smartwatch because it has more RAM, more memory. It's got a slightly better feature set with the microphone and the speakers. However, the GTR looks a lot better. It is a lot better as just a visual watch device that also does track basically the same things. If you're just looking for a good looking fitness tracker, then the GTR is probably one of the best out there. Definitely the best for the price, because these are both pretty cheap smartwatches for what they can do. I think between the two, I would choose the GTR because it looks better. That is important for me. But if you don't really care about what it looks like, you care more about the features, then the Verge is the one to get. I'll also point out that the GTR has a longer battery life by quite a significant margin, by at least double the amount of the Verge. So that is something also to consider if you really hate charging devices all the time. Okay guys, so I think that's it. That's the Amazfit Verge versus the Amazfit GTR. What do you think? Which one do you prefer? Which one do you think is the better smartwatch, and which one would you buy? So check my channel out and subscribe if you're into these kind of low cost but very good tech devices, gadgets. That's usually what I go for. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you found it useful. Verge versus GTR, and I'll see you later. Bye.